I'm not. I'm really ignorant on this. Is it going to prevent you from being able to stream it?
The answer, if it's bad, the answer would be yes.
Oh.
That wind is going to annoy everyone. I hope you understand that, Dad.
Oh, well, I didn't know you could hear it. Let me.
Oh, hell, it's terrible.
Is that better?
Yeah, a lot better. What did you do?
You had a fan on you, didn't you?
I had a fan, yeah.
Yeah, keep that fan off.
Okay.
I thought that was the wind.
Yeah, I thought it was the wind too. I'm like, damn, Vero's getting hit hard.
Not yet. Not yet.
All right.
Sorry, guys.
The stream is up. I'm gonna test the volume. So go ahead and talk, you two.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Engineer Ryan, sir. So testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Patrick, to you, good sir.
Dr. Professor Patrick?
Mr. Dr. Professor.
Mr. Dr. Professor. What?
It's from a stupid kids' TV show.
Oh, right. Something we haven't received over here, thank God.
Oh, yeah, you never had SpongeBob SquarePants over there?
Don't think so.
It's perfect.
There we go. All right. So let me know when we're ready to hit the air, Rye.
Yes, sir. Stream health. YouTube says the stream health looks fine, so I'm just going to.
Well, all right. Whatever. Just think, whatever happens, happens. Don't worry about it. Life's too short to care.
Amen.
I need to scroll down. Why won't you let me scroll? Crap.
Oh dear.
Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Did you hear what I said?
No.
Okay. I said we're really going to encourage folks to chat with us tonight.
Well, I'm trying. I'm trying to get the chat up.
Okay.
If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just off for some water. Wait a minute.
All right.
There we go. I got it. I had to change it. Screens real quick. There. That should work.
Mom finally found some gas.
I got gas today. I was able to go get gas after I got my tire.
Oh, okay, good. So anyway, yeah, just make sure if people come online and they're asking questions, or even if they're saying hi.
Of course.
Let's get them acknowledged tonight.
I will.
I don't know if we're going to make it a whole hour tonight or not, buddy, because I'm worn out too. They closed our school tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, and Evan will be home, so we're gonna be putting up shutters.
I'll put my shutters up too. I just gotta turn a bunch of knobs and then, boom, they're done.
Oh really? Oh, let me do this. Oh, is that all you got to do?
Yeah. With the windows, they have this like pull thing on it. You bring it out, you bend it, and then you just twist it, and a hurricane shutter comes down.
Wow, that's pretty dang cool. Okay.
And it locks in place. You can start whenever you want, Papa.
Okay. Are we ready? Are we live, Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to On the Air with Indian River Hauntings. I'm Larry Lawson, one of your hosts, and here's my good friend Chris Huff across the pond in County Durham, England. Say hi to everybody, Chris.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, we're all excited here tonight. And then, of course, engineering this program is my son, Ryan Lawson of Orlando. Say hello, Rye.
Hello, Rye.
Oh, and he's a comedian too. um, yeah, and you'll notice my background's changed a little bit, and there's a couple reasons for it. And Sherry, if you're listening, I took what you said to heart about that stark white background up against the closet. So I decided to move out to the porch. And there's another reason I'm out here too, folks, and that's this might be the last time people see this screened-in structure here because we've got a big old hurricane coming at us. Yeah, right here in Vero Beach, Hurricane Dorian is on its way to us, and right at this particular moment, we're about in the middle of the crosshairs of this Category 4 hurricane, and then it's going to hit us and move over to the middle of the state and whack Ryan over in Orlando. So,
well, knowing how big a Cat 4 is, I'll be feeling the Cat 4, but once the eye wall gets to us, it'll be a 1 tropical storm.
yeah, after so
Oh boy.
we're kind of preoccupied with this because things are going crazy here. There's no food or water left in the stores. The gas lines are long, and it's people are getting ready for a major hurricane. So, but we're not here to talk about our problems or hurricanes. We're here to talk about everything paranormal. And I, like always, want to give a few shout outs to folks that are support us and just good friends. And Chris has got a few too. I want to say hi to my good friend Scotty Burns and her crew down at War Party Paranormal down in West Palm Beach, Florida. Great group of folks, one of the best paranormal groups in Florida. My good friend Ike Enzi at IDK Paranormal. You want to hear some cool cop stories about the paranormal? Check out his show on YouTube. Also, it's called IDK Paranormal. Great show. He has some really good stories. Our friends at the Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere, Florida, where we really is our base of operations for a lot of our work out in that crazy haunted city of Fellsmere, Florida. So hi to Susan Adams and all the folks out there at the Marsh Landing Restaurant. Our friends at the Driftwood Resort here in Vero Beach. Hopefully they'll be here after next week. Just kidding. The Driftwood's been there since 1937. I'm sure it'll be there after this storm. But hi to Zach and Joe, my good friends at the front desk at Waldo's Driftwood Inn. Hi to Damien Freddy at the Golden Fleece in York, England. If you're ever in York, folks, go see him. Just a tremendous storyteller and a great guy. And finally, our friends at the Mel Fisher Treasure Museum in Sebastian, Florida. So hi to everybody. Got that out of the way. Chris, who would you like to say hi to tonight?
Well, the only one I know who's going to be on is Deborah. So hello, Deborah.
Hey, Deborah. Hopefully there's a lot of folks out there. And if you're listening tonight, we really want you to type some questions in. They're going to go to Ryan, and he's going to let us know that you're asking questions. We've got some stuff we want to talk about tonight. We want to get your feelings, your opinions on some of this stuff. So jump in. Let us know you're out there. Obviously, like us, hit that little like button on there if you could, and subscribe also so that you know when we're coming on the air. We've got a lot of cool things that we're getting ready to do, and we share them a lot on Facebook, but you're going to start seeing us share them a bit on YouTube also. So please like and subscribe for us. So with that, old friend, as you sit up in County Durham and me down here in Vero Beach, Florida, how all's well with you?
All's well. It's just very late.
Yeah. Hey, and this is what makes our show unique. I mean, here I am. It's about a little after 7 p.m. Eastern time in the States. Chris stays up till after midnight to join us on this. So really, really appreciate it. But you and I got talking about some things that are kind of interest in the paranormal world, and certainly a part of the controversy. Orbs, energy orbs.
Mm-hmm.
We even have controversy with that, or disagreement, I should say, friendly disagreement within our own group about orbs. And for those of you that may not know what an orb is, it's a ball of energy that many people believe is the essence of a spirit possibly trying to manifest itself. You see them in photographs. Occasionally you see them in person. So orbs, that's where we're going to start off tonight. What are your thoughts on those, Chris?
As what we're getting feedback, aren't we?
Hey, Ryan, we're getting some feedback here, bro. Can we fix that, Ryan?
What?
We're getting feedback. We can hear ourselves.
I know. My mic isn't turning off, so I'm turning it off myself. That's why if you don't hear me
Okay,
talking,
man.
I'm turning my mic off. Because
Much better.
thing with my microphone, if I flip my headset up, it should mute itself, but it's not doing that. So I'm physically turning it off with the
You're
system.
having all kinds of problems tonight. Ryan's had a rough day, folks. Car went bad and getting ready for the hurricane. His computer wasn't working, so it's been an interesting night. So anyway, Chris, your thought on orbs?
I'm back on the spot, am I?
Yeah, on the
Right.
spot, old man.
As I'll say to everyone, there is no black and white anywhere in the paranormal. It's just shades of grey. So I hear an awful lot of people who bang on about, oh, they're just this or they're just that or they don't exist or they do exist.
Oh, Ryan, are you catching
It's
that?
off again.
Yeah, but that's stuff we already said.
That's stuff from about 5 or 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. So it's not black
Sorry.
and white; it's a shades of gray.
It's all shades of grey. You get a lot of the skeptic types, and they'll say everything is just camera anomaly, or it's light reflecting. And then you get the other side of the coin where people just rush up and show you this photograph they've taken on their mobile phone, and it's obvious that it is a reflection from a mirror or something else, but they won't have it that that's what it is because they've been convinced by television programs or everything else. We're back again.
Hey, Ryan, can you hear me? You were. Sorry, folks, for this little these interruptions that keep coming up. Ryan, well,
Oh, yeah.
it keeps, and it's stuff that
Yeah.
what we're hearing is what we said 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, we can. We can hear you clearly.
What the heck?
We are having problems, people.
Hey,
we are having problems.
But this is the cool thing about live. You know, it's unscripted. It just happened. Life happens. So let's try and continue on, Chris.
Let's try and continue on. I've lost my train of thought completely. Orbs, do they exist? Now, let's just start from the absolute basic. Is there such a thing as a ball of energy which might be a spirit? And I'll say, if you see one of these with your eyes, rather than take a photo and get it on a camera, if you see it with your eyes, then it exists. And nobody can tell you that it doesn't exist. I've got a personal experience of this myself, that we were at Middleham Castle, somewhere I want you to come and see.
Mm-hmm.
I did a 3 or 4 year investigation there, and it's very haunted. We were standing just within the castle, and it must have been about 11 o'clock at night because we got on very well with the custodian at the time. Yeah, don't ask. And while we were sort of watching, high up on the wall where a walkway used to be, the battlements, which is now long gone, there was this little ball of blue light. Now, from where I was, from the distance away I was, I'd say it was a ping pong size, ping pong ball size. So it means it must have been at least a tennis ball or something bigger size, way up on the wall. And as we watched, it was just literally going up and down and up and down. Not fast, but just up and down and up and down, all the way along to the end of the wall to where there's a tower. Now there's no door into the tower at that point, and it just vanished through the wall. There were 3 of us who saw this. So something physical was manifesting, something which did not conform to our laws of physics.
Interesting, and particularly when you say a blue orb, a blue bulb,
really electric blue.
Now, and I'm going to tell you why that's interesting. I've had 2 really recent things like that happen with me. The first is what happened during one of our tours, and I normally don't see things like that. And just to put it on the table, I'm not a big orb guy. I think I would say 95% of the time, this is my opinion only, folks, 95% of the time, it's dust, moisture, or a bug. There, I have seen some orbs on film, on video, that would like make 90-degree turns or do something that just violated the laws of physics, if you will. But this blue orb thing is kind of interesting because we were doing one of the tours on the beach, and one of the few times I've seen something was I saw a blue ball of light come out of a wall, do like a half circle, and go back through a door. It was right when we got back from England. It was July 20th. We did an investigation at a spot that I can't name, but unbeknownst to me, two separate people have now, at two separate instances, have seen a blue ball of light, not on a picture, but actually on a stairwell at this venue. So does blue strike any kind of, I mean, is that color of any significance to you?
Not particularly, but I've got another account for you.
All right.
Eastgate, there's a waterfall just up from Eastgate, and right next to where the waterfall is, sometime in the late 1800s, they uncovered a Roman altar,
Mm-hmm.
which is taken off and in a museum. Excuse me, in a museum at the moment. Well, I visited this place because I wanted to see. So a friend and myself walked up there, and as soon as I got to the edge of the pool underneath this, the waterfall's only about 10 foot high. The pool underneath is fairly circular, as they usually are. And to the right of the waterfall, there's this little rock cut ledge. And I clearly saw a medium divined seeing, not with my eyes, with how I see things.
Your mind's eye, if you will.
In my mind's eye, that's a good way. A man in a white toga-like dress, with his head covered with a sort of like a fold of the material, with bare arms, lifted up a polished bronze vessel, which, you know, it was quite large, you know,
Right.
about a foot across, and tipped a red liquid, and that's the best I'm going to go. It's a red liquid
Okay.
into the pool below, and then he vanished. So I thought, right, I'll come back. So I did go back with Judith, and we got to the modern part of the sort of enclosing wall around this waterfall, and I took a photograph, and then I took a step forward and took another photograph, and I took a step slightly closer to the waterfall, and I took another photograph on my Nikon camera. It's not a cheapo nastio. It's Nikon D7-100. No flash.
What a cheapo what? Nasty.
Cheapo nastio. The sun was behind me, so it's not sun refraction of the sun's rays. There's no flash. There is a blue orb on every single one of the photographs.
Okay.
That's the only time I've ever seen an orb reproduced on 3 separate photographs. And I can't explain it.
In the same spot?
No, not the same spot. That's the thing.
Well, could it have been a piece of something floating? A piece of a bug? I mean, is it possible?
No, not at all. Not at all. You'll have to see these images.
Okay.
Then you'll see what I mean. But it's not a small ball of blue.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like it's about a foot across.
Interesting.
And
so
looking, as I said, I'm looking away from the sun, across the waterfall, to the platform on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And in 3 subsequent photographs taken at perhaps a second apart, in 3 different positions, this orb appears, but it's moved.
You're pretty good about debunking things and saying it's bullocks, if you will.
I will. I'm very good at saying that.
I'm kind of intrigued that, because I don't see you as an orb guy.
No, I'm not. Not at all.
So that's kind of interesting. And on a photograph, see, I have problems looking at a lot of orbs on photographs because, for starters, you can't always judge distance, because it may look big or small, but it may be right up on the camera and it's just absolutely distorting the distance. we've got a really cool one. Ryan and I go through this whenever we show it at an event, and it's it looks like three balls together, right? But on closer examination, Ryan's the one that really hit on this. You know which one I'm talking about, Ryan?
He's not. He's probably got his microphone turned off.
Yeah, you probably got the mic. Okay. Well, Ryan, if you got your mic on, but you can hear us, if anybody pops in with a question, because folks, we want you to do that, please let us know. But anyway, it once you look at it closely, to me, it originally looked like three balls together, which intrigued me. But once we sat down and skeptically looked at it, we found that it was a bug. It was wings, and they were
Absolutely, yeah.
and
A lot of these things that people say are, oh look, it's a figure, it's a misty, ill-defined figure, and it's moving. Well, quite often this is something like a spider on silk, or within the focal distance of the camera, and it's just swept through, and you're getting this same sort of image of something walking around the room, but it's actually right in front of your camera.
Yeah.
One of the ones which threw me in the past was a strand of hair which had come over the camera lens, and it gave a most bizarre effect, and I couldn't work out what it was. It was almost like looking through an opaque strand of grass, but with a ziggy zaggy sort of look to it with movement.
Right.
So I wasn't sure what was going on. But then somebody sort of said, "That's hair." I know what to look for now. But yeah, hair is a very interesting one, because it does. If you've got long hair, I'm guilty. It flops in front of the camera quite often.
Yeah, I could see it. I'm not trying to be funny, but I could see it with your hair. I definitely could.
And then there's the classic putting your finger in front of the lens. I've seen that so many times, and you get this pink image. Yeah, it's out of focus, and it looks like it's semi opaque, but it's definitely it's your finger. But I've actually had people saying, "Oh, look!"
Are you flipping me off right now?
Pardon?
It looked like you were flipping me off there. With
one finger. Yeah, finger in front of the lens.
Well, what is that? But doesn't that really speak to an issue that you and I have discussed at length about folks not being trained enough to look at things skeptically and with a skeptical eye to make sure that it's not something natural. They jump to the conclusion it's a ghost.
You've got to have a little bit of common sense.
Yeah.
Everything you got to think, well, what could this be? And you go through, is it lens flare from the sun? Is it lens flare from a light source close by? Did you use flash as it reflected back off a shiny surface or a window? Is it something passing through the focal distance of the camera when you took it, like the insect, like the spider, like spider silk, like hair or your finger? And if you can't get an answer which says, oh, it could be that, it could be that, it could be that, then you've got to start looking at a paranormal source for it.
But that's something that and folks get excited, and I totally understand. Hey, I did the same thing early on. You see something, you get excited, but you've got to go through the steps. And once again, this goes back to my mantra about training, and standards. People that get into this business have to work with those that are a little more experienced up front, get some training, learn to understand what these things are, so they don't jump to conclusions.
No. All they've got to do is watch television.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, kind of a sidebar here, and I know you disagree with me on this, and that's cool. Television really does has its place in all of this. Not to go too far off field of where we want to go tonight, but television made what we do mainstream. In other words, it made it more people will talk about it now. People that wouldn't talk about seeing things 20 years ago because everybody would have thought they were nuts now are talking about it. And we're actually getting some really good investigators out of it. Folks that start watching the shows, they got interested, but then they took a serious turn to it, and they've become very talented, very good investigators. So
if they take the serious turn,
yeah, well,
rather
obvious.
than rather than just run around and make videos of looking at their own face, saying, "Look at me, look at me, look at me," where the paranormal really doesn't matter because it's all about look at them and they want their own television show. I mean, don't forget, I'm from a generation before all this ever happened.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
You know, so I started investigating in 1974.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a long while ago. That's when everybody thought I was just a complete nut. But the complete
You.
nut got into all sorts of properties because somebody was listening to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas
And that's
now they just want to charge you money.
in some cases that's true. In some cases it's not. I mean, we've had some really terrific venues. We were actually going to be, and it looks like we're going to have to cancel it. But Mel Fisher, I don't know if you've heard that name, but Mel Fisher was a famous
No.
treasure hunter here. Found the Spanish treasure ship, the Atosha, down in the Keys, and which is what made him famous. But he's from this area, and he cut his teeth on the 1715 Spanish plate fleet that sunk out here during a bad hurricane in 1715. And we were actually going to, for the third time, go into that great museum that's chock full of all kinds of things that I'm sure have attachments. We've already had 2 very successful investigations in there, and we're going back. And these are folks that want us to come in, and there's not a charge involved. And wow, now I'm starting to get into a little thing that's one of my bugaboos too, and that's folks that investigate only the big name places.
Oh yes. Oh,
Yeah,
don't
I
go
mean,
there. Don't go there.
well,
You
I
know
mean,
what
it's
you know what I'm like from my videos. I just do the little ruins or
well,
airfields. I'm not interested in all these big name castles.
if you're going to do serious research to try to find the answer to what this phenomenon is, then you've got to go to places that maybe haven't had any reports, and you do the same type of experiments and work there, and you compare it to places that did have reported activity, and you got to start putting all those investigations together to compile evidence. If the only thing you do is go to, and I'm not going to mention any names because they're great places, but some of the big venues, and you're saying I'm an investigator, but I only go to this show I saw, or this place I saw on this show, and this place I saw on that show, then are you really investigating, or are you a paranormal thrill seeker, as I like to call it? And there's a place for that in the world today. But
Yeah, burning in hell. Yeah.
oh man, you're too hardcore.
No, I am very hard. I'm old school. I'm
Yeah,
old
you
school.
are. You are.
Res- I regard that like a. I mean, we've gone right off the topic here, but
Yeah,
never
we
mind.
have. Sorry
I
about that. It's
regard
my
that.
fault.
You've got the term Twitcher over there amongst the bird watching fraternity.
Uh,
They all turn up when you've got a rare bird at a place.
uh-huh.
All the Twitchers turn up, and then they've all gone again until another rare bird turns up at another location. They never go back to the same location. And that's what
Mhm.
these paranormal groups are like. They only do one location. They never go back and try and justify what they
Yeah,
found
yeah,
on their
yeah.
first investigation. I like to do 3 or 4 years at a place to really get the nitty gritty of it.
You got to, because you
No,
never get everything the first time.
and it's only after that amount of time and 3 or 4 years of research that you can actually start to understand what's going on there.
And doing the investigations at different times during different moon phases, different seasons, time of day, all different things. And then you compile all that information and find out you find out the differences and similarities. But yeah, I did take us a little off track here, didn't I? Sorry
You
about
took it
that.
well off track.
But I think I think it's an important topic, especially in getting back to orbs, talking to people about what orbs are and what they're not, and having an open-minded view, and not looking at every one of them as being spiritual in nature. It may be just a natural phenomenon. I remember first time I ever went to St. Augustine. We went on one of those walking tours. This is, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And they took us by one of the cemeteries and take pictures. And oh my gosh, look at all the orbs. Well, yeah, there's probably sand from the beach or
It's
dust, you
dust,
know?
dust.
Yeah,
I mean, go into any old building and there's dust falling out the
yeah,
ceiling all the time. So you get all the. I mean, that's the classic dust photograph. If you got
yeah,
loads and loads of these sort of semi-transparent blobby orbs all over the place, that's
yeah.
dust.
So,
You know,
and folks, I know there's folks out there that are listening to, hopefully listening to our show, that have different opinions on orbs. Maybe have had different experiences. Share them with us. We'd love to hear it. We're both Chris and I are open to have our minds changed. So, if you've had an experience or you've got a comment on it, let us know on your feelings on orbs and how you feel they fit into the paranormal scheme of things. So,
it, moving slightly on from orbs, mists.
okay,
The photographs that you see of paranormal mists, an
okay,
awful lot of this is condensing breath.
okay.
Yeah, especially smokers,
I totally agree with you on that. Yeah,
because
but
cigarette smoke stays in the lungs. It doesn't end as soon as you finish having a cigarette.
mhm,
It's still coming out, and you take a photograph, a little while afterwards, or there's someone around smoking, and you get this wonderful misty image, and it's all come out, and you think, oh, it's paranormal, but it's not.
mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
but
what?
you've got to go through the step of taking the obvious out of the equation.
Mm,
It
but
might be
once again,
paranormal, but
true. Yeah, because I'm a little bit more. I'm a little bit more inclined to look at myths. I'm not as immediate to disavow them. And a lot of times, see, in Florida, we got a little bit different situation than you do. Very few times of the year you can see our breath.
yeah, exactly.
So, and up in your neck of the woods, it's cooler a lot often.
It's
But
sort of
you,
9 months of the year. Yeah,
yeah.
it's cold.
So, but regardless of whether you're in County Durham or Vero Beach, Florida, smoking is an issue. But
Yep.
doesn't that again, Chris, go back to training and experience and being with folks that will teach you?
It comes back to, as I've always said, are you going to do this seriously, or are you just out for a spooky night out?
Bingo. And if you're going to do this seriously, then training is going to be important to you. You're going to want to know how to do it right and know when to hit the shutter or turn the video on and not have you creating accidentally. See, I really believe most folks just it's innocent. They just
Oh,
don't understand.
absolutely,
They just
absolutely. I don't. I mean, yeah, there are problems coming along with Paint Shop Pro, etc., where
true.
people are deliberately manufacturing things. Not very many people. Most are very genuine people, but there are some who are deliberately making images to put online and say, "Look at me again." I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Look at me. Or they make this image so everyone says, "Oh, that's really good," and then they'll turn around and say, "Well, I made this on Paint Shop Pro, and it shows how you can all be fooled." Ha 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 ha.
Well, going along those lines, there has been a real influx in recent times of paranormal videos as well as photographs from overseas, particularly uh, areas in Asia, India, the Middle East. I've seen a lot of them lately, and some of them are pretty good. Fake or real? Have you? I don't know if you've taken a look at many of them.
You know me, I do audio. I don't do visual at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
If anyone asks, you know these magic eye pictures where you've just got all these dots on a page, and if you
Hmm.
stare at them,
Uh-huh.
standing on one leg and humming the hymn to the Republic and looking through one eye or something, you can see an elephant in the middle. I can't see it. I can never see them. I
Hmm.
can't see them at all. And the same goes for a lot of these images that people show me until they actually point out what they're looking at. I don't see it. So I
Okay,
just do audio.
okay. So it's not that you have a disbelief in the pictures. It just for you. You're not a visual person, is what I'm
I'm not
gathering.
not at all. I've got
Okay.
no visual recognition of them. So people ask me about photos, etc., and all I can do is say, "Look, I'm sorry, I don't see things." But they can send me an audio tape, and I'll pull things out of there they never believed they could hear.
Oh, yeah, Sergeant Fury. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
that was amazing to me.
So I can actually hear them on in the hiss, but I
Yeah.
can't see the images.
Now,
Everybody just wants to show me an image, and it's no good. Nobody wants to do audio work because it's too much post processing.
it can be very, very monotonous, no doubt about that. And I'm with you in the sense that I've mentioned this before. I truly, truly believe that our big breakthrough in this field is going to be in the ITC arena,
It's got to
instrumental
be.
transcript. I really believe that. But on the same token, uh, I think we've got to look at the visual too. And I'd like to get your thoughts, even though I realize you're not a visual person, I'd like to get your thoughts on some of the photographs that have been out there or pictures that are going to be taken. Uh, I've seen some pretty good ones. I'm skeptical about a lot of the videos I've seen in recent times, but I've seen some other ones that are pretty darn good. And, I have to take into account, like you do, that people are just really good with editing now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to mention a photograph that I have, and I'd love to show it to you sometime. And Ryan, maybe we can figure out a way to get these pictures on so the folks can see it. But it was taken by some friends of a good friend of mine, a paranormal investigator that used to live across the street from me. I believe it was her friend and her friend's niece or daughter. They were in Gettysburg. You want to have a wild time? You got to go to Gettysburg, my friend. But they took a picture at a spot called the High Water Mark. Now, for those of you that are Civil War aficionados, that's where General Lee sent General Pickett and his division across a wide open field to attack a piece of high ground where he thought that the Union would break at. And it was the last day of the war. And the battle went on, the Union repelled it, and the war was over. Well, this particular photograph, they took a number of photographs. I want to say 11, it may have been more or less, but they took a bunch of photographs, and like 8 of them, 9 of them, 10 of them had nothing, but one had 3 figures standing off to the side, or it looked like they were. One guy was like this and being carried off the field, and you could see the legs and stuff like that, and everybody thought that was great. But down on the lower part of the picture that nobody caught right away until later was a tiny wispy figure. It wasn't even solid, but you could definitely see the figure saluting.
Right.
Tremendous photograph, and granted, I wasn't there when the photograph was taken. I wasn't there when they processed it, but I trust the people involved.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, trust.
Mm-hmm.
Now this goes right back to my. You remember when we did? Was it last week or the one before? Where we were saying about mediums in investigations,
That was last week.
and it comes down to trust. Always.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Trust. I trust you will not fake this, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what it comes down to every single time. Somebody I don't know throws a photo at me or throws an audio at me, and the first thing you've got to start thinking is, are they going to fake things?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't say. So you can only have a certain confidence in the piece that you're studying. But if you, for example, gave me an audio and said, I recorded this on my digital recorder, we're walking around Fellsmere School, nobody was talking at the time, I trust you that was the true.
Mm-hmm.
So, but somebody you don't know who comes up and just says this. There was nobody there at the time. You hear somebody clearly saying, go out
Well,
or go away or something worse.
well,
Is it somebody saying something?
I think it's fairly easy these days, as easy as it is for people to fake photographs or to put an overlay on it or somehow insert a figure into a photograph or a video. Excuse me. I think it's just as easy for experts to say, "Hey, this picture's been doctored."
Oh, very
Uh,
easy. I
so,
mean, very, very easy for them to just turn around and say, "Oh, well, in my opinion, this is fake."
mhm.
It doesn't matter if it is or it isn't, because you're going to get some skeptics out there who are just going to say everything's
Well,
fake.
yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. There are some people that are going to say it's fake no matter what. Now, I'll give you another little story about that in just a second. Um, there are some people that are always going to say it, even with the evidence flat in front of them. But I do think that with today's technology, we're able to show whether or not a photograph has been faked or doctored.
Well,
I mean,
some
and be able to
can.
show the
I
proof
couldn't,
of.
but
Oh, I couldn't either.
no, so yeah, you can look at the EXIF data and see if it's been tampered with, but
Mhm.
I couldn't do that. I haven't got the wherewithal to do it.
Well,
Some people can compare the contrast of various parts and see if something's been inserted.
mhm.
Um, the pixelation around something, they'll tell you, well, that's different to the surroundings.
Mm.
I couldn't do it.
Well,
For me, it comes down to trust. It has to, because that's the only thing I've got.
that's true. And me coming from a law enforcement background, it's always trust but verify. And and true in this field, you got to have some faith. I mean, you do. But there's a quick story I'll tell you. We took a photograph was taken at one of our events. It's almost 2.5 years ago now, maybe even 3. Lady took a picture in the Marsh Landing restaurant, and it was clearly show. She took 2 pictures. One was of the women's bathroom that was open, and you could see the chair rail going through it. And 2 seconds later, she took a second picture of a woman standing there, and it freaked everybody out. Well, of course, the first thing I did was there's also a security camera that
Mhm.
goes down that hallway. I went to the owner and said I need a copy of that, and of course reviewed it. Didn't see anything in there that would have matched the picture we took, but I had somebody take a look at the picture. It was immediately debunked by somebody else. But then I took not just the picture, but we took, I should say, the iPhone 5, wasn't even a 6 at the time, it was a 5, to a forensic laboratory, law enforcement forensic laboratory, who did a forensic examination of it. Now, they wouldn't say it was a ghost, but what they would say was that camera took that picture 2 seconds apart, those 2 pictures 2 seconds
Mhm.
apart. There were no apps, there were no overlays. They wouldn't say it was a ghost, but they said that photograph is absolutely, and that was a criminal, I mean, a lab that does criminal justice work says those are real pictures. Now, you can debate, was somebody just standing there? Well, we literally been able, and I tried to debunk it myself, but the picture, when you look at the woman that was standing there, you could see the chair rail through her chest.
Like it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like it.
see, so you put all that stuff together. Wow, that's some pretty hardcore evidence of life that is beyond our dimension, I think. So that was a pretty exciting moment, and I think there's people out there that have had those experiences and have those kind of photographs. There was another photograph that Jim Wilson, one of my team members, took on the beach here in the area of the 1715 Fleet, and took a bunch of pictures, and only one had a perfect picture on it that was on the cover of one of our local magazines. Once again, unable to debunk it, and I trust the guy that took it.
Yeah.
See,
It's that
people,
word again. It's that word
yeah,
again.
yeah, it's trust. I can't deny that. I just got to find some way in this business to combine the trust with the hard evidence and put it together. And that's where, and you're one of those people that say, you ain't going to do it, Larry. It's not going
You're
to
not going
happen.
to.
But
Well,
I,
yeah,
I'm going
no, I'll say you could do it if you've got a couple of billion to spare.
to, yeah, I'm a
Because
little short
at
on
at
billions.
the end of the day, it comes down to how much money you've got.
Yeah. Well, either that or finally compiling enough evidence, Chris, that you can convince somebody who does have that kind of backing to say, okay, I see it. I believe in you. Let's move forward. It's something like that's going to happen, and it happens in the scientific world all the time. Somebody comes up with an idea, and somebody else likes the idea, and they help fund it. Will that ever happen in this field? I don't know. It's we got we got too many.
You couldn't write to Spielberg.
I couldn't write to Spielberg.
Yeah, give it a try.
Yeah, I don't, yeah. Um, but somehow we got to figure out a way how to bring this all of this together. And we talked about it last week with the mediums and stuff. I believe in my heart that mediums are an important part of this equation.
But you didn't always.
No, I didn't. No, 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 I did not. I was a hardcore skeptic early on. I thought people that were um, uh, mediums were all con artists. I'll be
Well,
honest with you,
that's me.
or not, or mentally not right.
That's
Uh,
definitely me.
well, yeah, but I don't want to say that. And
No,
yeah.
don't blame
Now,
you.
Chris, look, pal, not to blow smoke, but I've seen your work. I've seen you in action. I have total faith in you. Okay,
Which is more than I
so
have.
oh, stop it. Yeah, but we've photographs, orbs. They're all part of this big old puzzle. They're just part of this puzzle. And now there's some interesting things going on with photographs out there, and I don't know much about it. Want to get your opinion? Uh, Scrying. Are you familiar with that term?
Yeah. Very old technique.
And that's where you kind of move water around
Well, no, scrying is looking into any reflective surface and getting images.
Mhm.
I mean, in modern ways of doing it are that you take photographs and you try and interpret what you're getting from the photographs. But in say the 15th, 16th century, it was just looking into a bowl of water and getting images. So it's
Mhm.
just the same. It's just scrying is just sort of seeing within a media.
Well, and that's something that's I've seen crop up in a lot of investigations. People will take a photograph, and I've gotten a number of them. Some of them are pretty good. Other ones, we'll sometimes use the word matrixing or
Yeah.
pareidolia, where your mind is trying to make sense of it, and you see a face in the mirror or a face in the window, but it's really just the pixels that are all scrambled in your brain trying to make sense of it. How often is it? Do you think it's the other side trying to get a hold of us as compared to our
Well,
brain trying to figure it
I've
out?
I've actually seen some very good examples. I really have.
Uh,
Examples that I couldn't hand on heart say, well, that's just imagination, because I've seen some with dogs' faces.
mm-hmm.
They've been saying, they've been wanting to see their pet dog, and the dog's face has appeared in the water. And yeah, it almost makes a shiver go up your spine. But no, I've seen some very good examples. So it comes down to what I said right at the beginning. There's no absolute. There's just shades of grey, and it might work, it might not work. I don't know. It might work for some people. It might not work for others. But the people it doesn't work for can't turn around to someone who it does work for and say, "Well, I can't get it to work, so you can't either."
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of that. People get stuck in their heads. Well, because I can't see it, it
Yeah,
can't be real.
which is
I've
what I
never,
get an awful lot of the time.
yeah, I've never experienced it, so it can't be real. Well, you know what? As a cop, I see a lot of things that other people don't see, and I've even had this question. You're a cop. You're looking for evidence. You got to prove something in court. You can't believe in the paranormal. You can't put your hands on it. My answer is, if you had a crime at your house, do you want a detective to come to your house and just make a snap decision on what happened based upon my personal feelings and beliefs and what I think it is? Or would you rather have a detective that comes in with an open mind, willing to look at all the evidence, put the pieces of the puzzle together with that evidence, and come up with an answer based upon the evidence? What would you rather have? And people will always say, well, the open mind. This is no different.
Exactly.
This is no different. And we've got to have an open. We certainly can't say that this doesn't occur. We can't say that all the people that have experienced this are half a bubble off or had too much old peculiar.
Unfortunately, in your previous line of work, being a policeman, you will come into contact with
Oh,
the deluded, shall we
oh,
say,
absolutely. Oh,
who hear their washing machine talking to them. And
they've
I've
got their
I've had
little,
I've I've
yeah.
I've had a case of a woman saying that her refrigerator was talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't. It wasn't. She was. You know how refrigerators just burble and wheeze and
Yeah,
groan
yeah, yeah.
periodically. She was thinking that was talking to her.
Yeah, and you know what? Not to get off on a whole different subject, which I probably would love to chat with you about in the future. Folks that have some sort of mental health issue that they see. I mean, I can't even tell you how many calls I've gone on in almost 40 years in the law enforcement business of there's green men in my attic, or I'm wearing this aluminum hat so the X-rays don't get into my
Yeah,
head.
don't,
You know, I'm
don't. There was a chap a long while ago when I was doing my training. This must be 1981, somewhere around about that, really early in my nurse training, and he'd broken his leg.
mhm,
We got the story out of him that I'll backtrack 1 second. And he was sitting in the bed. When I first saw him, he was sitting in the bed with his leg in an extender because he'd really
uh-huh,
did some damage, with a
right,
foil cap on his head.
uh-huh,
So the alien influences couldn't get to him. He'd actually, what had actually happened was that he'd heard his dustbins talking in the night,
mhm,
and he'd gone out to investigate and tripped over a dustbin on the ground and broken his leg badly. But
uh-huh.
he wouldn't have it that it wasn't the dustbins talking.
Yeah, and there's certainly that angle out there that if you're going to be in this business, you really have to be aware of it. And I think that'd be a great topic the next time on helping people, and are we really helping? And when we are doing a case, are we helping folks, or are we just adding to the delusion, or are we giving them answers? I think that
But
might be a cool topic
but
next time.
then again, maybe they're right. This is the whole problem. I mean, I
Okay.
always approach this from my perspective, where I see things that most people wouldn't believe, so I don't tell them.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm seeing them. I'm experiencing them.
Well, but I think you're a little bit at apples and oranges here, my friend, because in our discussion, we're talking about people that are educated, well centered in their life, seeing and experiencing things over hundreds of years, as compared to dustbins talking to each other. Now, I mean, I see what you're saying, and like I said, I kind of almost want to table this when we got more time to talk about it. But
I think so because we could have an interesting one here because
yeah,
I might go off and detail some of the things I've actually seen, but I
well,
don't know because I've had an awful lot of negative feedback over the years.
oh, now see, this is where being a cop helps. You live with negative feedback when you're in my
Yeah.
business. So, and funny, we got a guy Spanky, and he may be listening tonight. Spanky, if you're out there listening, let
Now,
us know.
how
But
did he
yeah,
get the name
oh,
Spanky?
oh, that's interesting. I'll let him tell the whole
All
story. But
right.
he was a firefighter, and oh gosh, somebody was asking for nicknames, and I think he looked like Spanky from our gang, and that's how it something along those lines.
Right.
Spanky, if you are out there, the audience and Chris want to know how you came up with that name. But I'm trying to think why we even went firefighter police. I lost my train of thought now.
Oh, sorry.
Um, that's okay. Um, trying, I'm just trying to think why we were talking about cops and fire. Just I guess seeing and experiencing strange things. I can't remember where I was going with that.
We were
And
just talking about seeing the weirdest things.
yeah, and God, we do. I mean, we deal with folks that are deluded because of drugs. They're deluded because of something that they can't help, and they're going through.
Now, well, now again, you're saying they're deluded because of drugs.
Well,
The
one
only
of the things.
person,
I'm not saying that's the only
the
person.
only person who can actually understand some of the things I've seen is someone who abused LSD quite a lot.
Well, then we can get into the discussion about the CIA MK Ultra investigations and the way they tried to alter the minds. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
very much
that's a
so. I mean,
that's a whole new
you
angle
you,
we could go at.
you know that I can do remote viewing, so
Yeah. Now
um,
that's another great
that's
topic to
another
go.
great topic.
Well,
So
I once again had problems with that, and I'm going to interrupt you because I want you to know this. I had problems with the concept of remote viewing until I actually began to look into it
yeah.
and understood what not only our government, but the Chinese government, the Soviet government, all kinds of places were doing successfully with remote viewing. So yes, I think we need to have that discussion on another one because yes, I know you told me you can do remote viewing and you've talked to me about it, but that all goes back to what you were talking about with the LSD and
Hmm.
the MK Ultra uh, program that our government was involved in that used LSD to expand the mind. So okay,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
It's in. He was sort of saying the one thing that the substance which closely resembles what I see and how I see is when he took magic mushrooms.
Okay.
But
Well,
this was a long while ago, and he's a reformed character now. But
well, you know,
I have some really interesting discussions because we talk about how the light changes and how things go blue or pink. You just see things differently.
well, I'm not an expert at this, so if there's anybody out there listening, it is please excuse my ignorance or my failure to explain this properly. But look at some of what the Native Americans in our country
Yep.
used out west in order to reach different planes,
Yep.
and they had the same hallucinogenic properties as mushrooms and other things, and they did it to go to other dimensions to reach other planes. Um, Yeah, I think that's a heck of a subject. I mean, we could probably spend 2 hours on that one.
Well, I'll have to come over there and we'll do a practical demonstration.
No, 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 no.
I'll hasten to add I have never taken an illegal substance in my life.
And I do believe that you're a good man. But getting back to that whole concept, this just kind of hit me. A lot of folks talk about that we only use 20% of our brain. Well, I
Hmm.
think that I think the studies have shown that's inaccurate. We use 100% of our brain, but we only understand what 20% of it does.
Hmm.
So if that's the case, is that also where some of this is happening? Is the other side using that 80% that we don't understand yet?
This is another topic for another day
Yeah. Oh
because
man, we got
this
years
is
worth of shows coming.
this is a big one because you get into the arguments about is consciousness actually within the brain or
Hmm.
around the body,
Hmm.
and then you can sort of start looking at what Casey started calling the Akashic record
Hmm.
as a storage mechanism outside the body.
Hmm.
So memories are not actually stored in the brain, but the brain is just accessing this external memory source, rather like a disk drive plugged into your computer.
And could this be? And I'm not a Casey fan, but
No,
um,
no, I
uh,
agree, but
but could this be the direction to understand and unlock the doors to what ghosts are?
it could very well be. You're actually seeing something when you're accessing memories outside the body.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's a whole thing. Another one to come up with, another topic is UFOs because I've
Uh,
seen two UFOs. So,
well, we'll go. Hey,
you're talking to someone who's been out at all hours of the bloody night, doing stupid things in stupid locations and seeing all sorts of very, very weird things.
and Ryan, I know you probably got your mic off because we were getting feedback, but send me a text or something to let me know if you hear this. Write this stuff down for us. And folks, if you're listening to the show tonight, if you're joining us and you're enjoying the conversation, write some stuff to us. Send it. You can get a hold of me at ghostguy59 at gmail.com.
And
Ghostguy59 at gmail.
and
Yeah.
another one that I want to do,
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
you've mentioned that because what before I knew you, I
Because
actually saw your
yet
video.
again, I've had an experience because I've
Yeti
been
again. Yeti again.
yet again. Yeah, thank you very much. Yet again, At least we haven't got skunk apes. So
Well, hey, it's a Florida thing. Come on,
it's a
show some
Florida
respect.
thing, yes.
But
No,
anyway,
yeah,
if,
I've
if
had experience there as well. So let's get people talking about this.
yeah, folks, ghostguy59@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let me know it, what topic you'd like to hear or something that interests you or your thoughts on what we've discussed. This is all about talking to everybody. This is about sharing with everybody. This is about getting folks involved that want to be involved and come up with answers. And that's why Chris stays up all night to join us from England for this podcast. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. But
Well, I've actually got a question for you.
okay.
With you're saying about all the ships that have gone down off the coast of Florida,
Oh yeah.
have you got any ghost ships?
Well, yes.
So
They're.
that's that. We've got the Goodwin Sands,
Mm-hmm.
which is off Dover. It's got loads and loads of accounts of ghost ships. So that's another topic for another evening.
Well,
Ghost ships.
we've got the famous Bermuda Triangle. They
Yeah,
still don't know what happened to those 3 TBF Navy Avenger bombers right
I
after
know.
they're
Yeah.
just gone, and people just disappeared. Now, a good argument is that the ocean is a mysterious place that never gives up. It's dead, and things just happen. But why do they just happen? So yeah, we've got the Bermuda Triangle right here. There's even another one, and I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's it includes our area right here, and Jim Wilson knows the name of it. But it's a similar area where things just happen. People disappear, UFOs are seen, so it happens all over. And one of the things that I got to impress upon folks as we, yeah, about time to wrap up, but I want to impress upon you: keep an open mind. People that say can't happen just because are not opening up and seeing what has happened for generations. Not everybody's a crackpot that has seen these things. So if that's the case, what is it? Why do these things happen? Why do normal people see things, hear things, experience things? So folks, if there's one thing, and Chris, I think you'll agree with me, that we would ask you is keep an open mind,
Oh yeah.
share what's happened to you, ask us
Yeah,
questions.
please. I'd love to hear what other people have seen. I really would. Nothing. I when I was 18, I
Mhm.
knew everything there was to
Was
know
it
about the paranormal.
1859? Was that
So
1859?
round about then, yes.
Okay.
When I was 18, I knew everything there was about the paranormal. I was convinced I knew everything.
Everybody at 18 knows everything.
Yeah. And now all I know is what I don't know, and that's far more than I ever thought I knew.
Amen to that.
And
That's
So
as soon as it changes, as soon
oh,
as you get an idea, it changes. That was a voice of God in the
we
background,
heard
wasn't it?
Ryan. He's still awake. Ryan, is that you?
yes, Jim said the Atlantis Triangle. I think that was the
Thanks,
other
Jim.
one.
And I knew you were the one that was telling me about that, Jim. Thanks. The Atlantis Triangle. That was it. So man, what an intriguing topic. Now, this guy, Jim, this is a guy I'd like you to meet also. His name is Jim Wilson. Really interesting guy. Has had some incredible experiences. Has taken some unbelievable photographs. He's absolutely aces. So thanks, Jim, for bringing that in. Jim's the one that told me about the Atlantis Triangle, which is in our area right here.
Hmm.
So it's very, very cool. So yeah, we got to talk about that too. But dude, we're about out of time.
We're out of time.
We're out of time. You got to go to bed. You're going to turn into a pumpkin here pretty soon.
I do that every night, so I wouldn't worry.
Well, folks, we want to let you know how much we appreciate you watching. We want this to grow. We want to share things with you. We want you to share things with us. This is about all of us getting together and talking about our passion, the paranormal, trying to find the answers as to what exists on the other side. And we can't do it without you. We're just a couple of old farts here talking about it. So
A couple of very old farts.
actually, I think I've got you by a week, right?
You're much older
For
than I am, old man.
about a month. Okay. So
Yeah.
at any rate, once again, a shout out to the what I think is the greatest paranormal team on the planet, the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation, and not because of me, but because
Toot
of my
toot.
team members. Toot toot, that's right. But it ain't because of me. It's because of folks like Ryan who helped me find it, Spanky, Jim Wilson, Sherry, Nikki, Tina. I could just now my name's Julie. Um, My mind's going blank. Sorry about that, guys. But I want to give a shout out to them too, because without them, we just couldn't get this done. So join us next week. We'll be back. Well, I got to back up. We may not be here next Thursday, folks. If this hurricane hits us and it's as bad as they say, might be off the air for a couple weeks. So say a little prayer for us. But if all goes well, we'll be back next Thursday. We'll wake Chris up again and get him awake, and we'll be back next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, God willing, and the hurricane doesn't whack us too hard. So, any parting words, my old friend in
No,
England?
nothing from me. I'm just trying to stay awake here.
Okay, well, I'm glad I'm keeping you up. Folks, take care. Thanks for listening, and we will see you hopefully next week. If not, we'll be back on the air as soon as Mother Nature allows us. Thanks for watching On the Air with Indian River Hauntings, and we'll see you on the other side. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.